and overcoming fundraising hurdles in the tier 2 cities. I'm sure everyone was waiting for this particular panel to understand how to get your first check. So I would, and the speakers for this panel is Mr. Vikas Agrawal, co-founder at V Circle. So I would request Mr. Vikas Agrawal to join the dais. So Vikas is an entrepreneur and a visionary leader, instrumental in establishing the Onsurity, a technology-driven employee benefits platform. He is committed to enhancing employee well-being by providing innovative and accessible healthcare solution. So our next speaker on the panel is Prajakta Raut, co-founder and managing partner, Carrot Capital. So Project is an entrepreneur and advocate for startups, dedicated to inspiring and assisting individuals on their entrepreneurial journey, aiming to reach 1 lakh entrepreneurs, focuses on supply chain. Our next speaker on the panel is Mr. Vaibhav Domkunwar. I request Mr. Vaibhav to join the dais. Vaibhav is founder of a Better Capital, an early stage venture fund, a seasoned entrepreneur with a successful venture, actively involved in funding and mentoring startups. Our next speaker is Mr. Amitabh Srivastav, partner, July Ventures. I request Mr. Amitabh to join the dais. So Amitabh has a very rich background in venture capital, angel investing, and senior executive roles. Over 3 decades of diverse experience in venture capital, corporate entrepreneurship, and a senior leadership position with MNCs. And the moderator for the panel is Mr. Harsh Saraf, co-founder, Key Ventures. I request Mr. Harsh to please join the dais.
For all the audience who is sitting over here, this is our special panel. And what is the specialty of this particular panel is, all the seed funds, managing partners and managing directors and partners of the fund, they have roots back to Vidarbha region. So Harsh studied at VNIT and now at Mumbai, so there is a Nagpur connection there. Amitabh studied in Hislop College and SFS too. So he has that connection. मैं इधर से चालू करता हूँ. Vikas studied at YCC and
he was my HOD by
so that's the connection. Prajakta has connection back to Amravati and Vaibhav. These are the 2 people from the region specifically, and 3 people from Nagpur specifically. So it's a Vidarbha Connect panel. So I just wanted to especially.
Thank you, Shashi sir. So I request Shashi sir to please welcome our speakers. With a token of gratitude to Vikas Agrawal. To Prajakta Raut. To Mr. Yeah.
One more announcement. Carrot Capital, which Project represents, I just signed.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you, Mr. Project. To Mr. Vaibhav.
Took a late night flight, came back at almost like he landed at 1:45 in the night. And that is just only for Nagpur and this part of the region. He said that, yes, I have to come.
To Mr. Amitabh Srivastav. And, and to Mr. Harsh Saraf. Thank you, sir. Over to you, Harsh.
Thank you so much, Shashi sir, for bringing up the investments already before this panel. So one job of mine is done, because the myth that we are trying to break is it difficult to raise capital in tier 2 cities? But we already saw a check being written. So that solves for that. But would love to know a little bit about the audience before we start, right? How many of you have a startup or are looking to raise capital? How many of you believe that it's difficult for you to raise capital because you're from Vidarbha, if not from a Mumbai or a Delhi? Okay, not a lot. That's actually encouraging. We thought that that's what we're going to break, but let's see whether that's a myth or a reality. We have a wonderful panel here who has invested in hundreds of such startups, and a lot of them actually write the first checks, right? So when we look at the first check, it's more like belief capital, where the investor is trusting the business, trusting what the entrepreneur has, and it's a very memorable journey when you receive the first check. So taking it to the panelists, if each one of you can talk about one company from a tier 2 city which has done well, maybe from your portfolio or not, whom you think have actually achieved a lot, even though they were from a tier 2, just to break the myth which they have, that's difficult to raise capital for a tier 2 company. Vikas.
Yeah, I can start. So we have a company, Vipay, that's into fintech. They enable the problem of students to spend the money where the cash is a problem and parents don't know जेब में पैसे कैसे दे तो होगा कैसे. So they started with that mission. Founded from Muradabad. It started in COVID. So all that story happened. And now they have almost like 350,000 active users of the card itself across schools. One of the theses we keep adding, it's not funding but business and networking that enables them. तो पहले 10,000 बच्चे जो उन्हें मिले वो हमारे ही नेटवर्क पे जो स्कूल चलाता है उसी से दिलवाए हमने कि भैया पैसा तो दे दिया धंधा भी तो होना पड़ेगा. I think that's where we want to enable, and just for the record, 70% of our investments are tier 2.
Wow.
So that's one
That's
note I would like
commendable. That's commendable. So would you say that if you're from tier 2, the biggest thing that you need to look for is actually network rather than just capital, given the exposure that you have? Is that the most necessary point?
So Harsh, I would say it's different phases. The first phase is obviously capital. पैसा जेब में नहीं होगा तो बाकी सब ज्ञान है कुछ होने नहीं वाला उसका. So I think they need to start. But once they go to a certain level, hiring की problem आती है, technology की problem आती है, तब उन्हें जाना पड़ता है. तो even if you take Y Combinator of the world, he takes everybody to San Jose and put them there on the block simply for networking and a certain route at a certain stage. Ideas वहाँ से नहीं आ सकते कभी.
True.
And India with 50 cities of a million population, या सिटी की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर लोगे तो स्टार्टअप खड़े हो जाएंगे यहाँ पर. यू कैन कवर हाफ द यूरोप दैट वे इन दैट सेंस. सो या ह्यूज opportunity.
Well taken. Prajakta, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Vikas. Many of the concepts would be applicable to, the funding dynamics, whether in tier 1, tier 2 cities. But we are a thematic fund. We are a supply chain or a value chain focused fund, and therefore we believe that startups that are addressing problems of accessibility in tier 2, 3 cities are integral to the success of India as a nation. If we have to move from 4 trillion economy, which we are today, to 10 trillion economy, our rural economy will have to be in 3 to 4 trillion. Today, for example, a lot of FMCG companies, consumer durable companies are not able to service some of those markets, not because there is no demand, but because there is the old traditional processes don't work. And therefore, one of our thesis, and I'll explain to you why I'm explaining it, because our thesis is that startups fundamentally will be able to create new alternate models to traditional distribution setups, and therefore companies that are creating some of the shared services networks for making rural markets accessible to larger companies or legacy companies are the companies that we invest in. One of our successes that I'd like to highlight, I'll actually highlight two because they're interesting. One is a company called Frontier Markets. Woman entrepreneur, single woman entrepreneur, scaled up quite massively. What she's doing is saying that rural area mein dukaan ki zarurat hi kya hai? A lady who's an enterprising lady in the village is a walking, talking shop. Her phone is her inventory. Somebody wants to order a mixer, somebody wants to order something, she just goes to that person. Now, a mixer person may not have the ability to deliver last mile to that lady. But when you consolidate all of these orders and gets to that lady's house, and she goes and delivers that mixer, it makes it possible for a lot of companies to service rural market. The point is that there are lots of options and opportunities available. If we don't wear the large steady mindset and think in terms of what the problems are, there are lots of options and opportunities available. Most people from tier 1 cities will not be able to even sort of contextualize the problem in their mind. Say, for example, in Jharsuguda in Orissa, why is it that you are not able to get, a Bisleri or a Parle biscuit and you get a duplicate? Not because the shopkeeper is a chore, not because the shopkeeper wants to cheat, but because Bisleri and Parle and some of the legacy brands are not able to service that person well. Now, that concept doesn't even arise in the mind of, say, for example, a tier 1 person, and therefore, funds like us and many people who believe in the India story are more than happy today to look at companies or startups that emerge from places like these who are able to understand the grassroots level. The reason why we immediately invested or at least committed an investment in Tractor Seva is because when you talk to the entrepreneurs, that they know exactly what a farmer feels. They know exactly what a distributor or a service person or a mechanic who's servicing tractors, etc. feel. I don't think anybody in Bangalore or in Bombay, even if they have the best tech abilities, will be able to understand the nuances of what it takes to service a tractor in a rural area. And that's the reason why we committed capital to Tractor Seva, which is a company that we saw yesterday pitching in the session.
That's really, really interesting. The fact that if you're building for Middle India, it almost seems like tier 2 startups have an edge over there rather than a disadvantage in building this out, given the understanding.
At least that's the belief. If you believe in the India story, and if you believe everybody who says that by 2034, India is going to be a 10 trillion economy, we can't get there without our rural economy being a 4 trillion economy, which is literally the size of today's India's GDP.
Perfect. Web of one company from your side.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story of a company called Iki Foods. It's in a small city in Rajasthan called Kota. Obviously, it's a famous city. But these are two engineers who essentially studied mechanical engineering and chemical engineering, I believe. And they're very sharp. They worked at another seniors company for a few years. And then basically said, what should we apply our knowledge to? Very fundamental thinkers. And they said, let's find an area where we can apply our knowledge that will still be relevant for several decades to come. Okay? And they actually grew up in the Kota region. They went back to Kota and started a company called Iki, which was essentially innovating on the hydroponic stack. They chose food as the problem to solve. Because food is adulterated, it's causing a lot of long-term problems, and essentially food security is going to be a massive issue at some point in the future. It's very fundamental thinking. And obviously farming is becoming a problem in India. There are a lot of challenges around food, and if you have to feed 1.4 billion people, that's a massive challenge, right? So they went back to Kota and they started to build the core technology that powers what we call as the Iki farms. They're sort of these hydroponic sheds, but they essentially built the polymer containers in which the plants hang. They're mediumless. They built the complete robotics that essentially controls the nutrition, ambient temperature, and everything, and built it for about 3 years until they said we can grow not broccoli and red capsicum, which is easy to sell at a high price, but until we can sell tomatoes and cucumbers of the highest quality that you would get in a market like the US, but at the mandi prices in India. Okay. Now, this is a fairly hardware-centric company. It's not something that we would do very naturally at Better Capital. But as I went through the story and we did our work, it just felt like an incredible opportunity. Again, coming from a town like Kota, which is where they build the entire company. That is the HQ. That is where they live. That is where everything is. Right. So I think to this topic around innovation besides the bigger towns, I think. The potential is tremendous. It is also, we're also seeing a bunch of entrepreneurs who want to go back to their towns and build companies. We saw a bunch of examples here just now. And I think we'll see a lot more. Just to go back to Iki, after we invested, there's another VC fund that invested, and then I had introduced him to a friend of mine in San Francisco, and he basically said, hey, you know, why? This is so non-standard. And I left him a voice note on WhatsApp, and he understood it. He met them. He ended up investing. Turns out that he went, within a few months, went and took up a role at a larger, probably one of the top 5 venture funds in the world. And once he went there, and this was about 4 months after we had first met Iki and invested, this is the first deal he picked up because that particular fund had invested in a company called Bowery Farms, which is somewhat of a similar company in the US. Now look at the odds. When I met Amit and Abhay of Iki, they were just trying to raise 2 crores, right? In 9 months, they basically had $7 million in the bank.
Wow.
Right? Tier 2 story, Tier 2 founders, everything Tier 1, technically. Okay? So I think, look, my context with Nagpur is that my mother and my mother's family comes from this region. And we visited Nagpur, and there's a little town called Wani very close by, which is where we spend a lot of our summers. And my mama and several others still live in Nagpur, so there's a big connection. I actually did go to school, I think first grade, for about 2 years. First and second, I think. But I think if you just look at the city, I think the opportunity is there. I personally don't believe, as a venture capitalist, that we need to solve all problems from the tier 1 cities. So I think Nagpur is very well positioned. To give you an example, one of our companies called Fix Health, they do online physiotherapy. Again, something that when I first met him, I said, how do you do online physiotherapy? I mean, you can't do physiotherapy without touching the patients. By the end of that hour, he had convinced me that majority of the conditions in physiotherapy can be treated without touching the patient. It's just unreal. I mean, that's why I love my job. You just learn every day. Now, Fix Health is a Nagpur entrepreneur, building largely out of Nagpur, and something that we've had a great journey. So very, very positive on Nagpur in general.
Brilliant, brilliant. Amitabh, over to you.
Thanks. I'll talk about 3 companies which are non-metro.
And here people were thinking it's difficult to raise capital in tier 2. Every one of them has 2 or 3 success stories which they're so excited to talk about. Please go ahead.
No, so I believe that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Find the right beholder, and your beauty will be appreciated, for sure. My first company, which I'll talk about, is a company called Upaz. So it's into input credit financing for agri. And the area of operation is the tri-state of North Madhya Pradesh, South UP, and Western Bihar. So it's in that region. They cater to input credit financing. Essentially, they give them a hamper. Instead of giving them cash, they give them a hamper which has seeds, fertilizers, good quality, etc. So they're doing very, very well. Second is a company, that's an investment of July Ventures, my fund. Second is a company based out of Belgaum called Vayavya Labs. Vayavya literally means northwest. And it's in the northwest of Karnataka, this place. They are mostly into automation of hardware drivers. Doing very, very well, but it's been a long time since I've been an investor, not yet seen any exit. The third one is the one I'll talk about, which belongs to the city of Nagpur, where I got a pretty decent exit. I was an investor in InfoSpectrum, and the InfoSpectrum ultimately got sold to Persistent. So these are the three. And my yarn is only beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Find the right beholder, and you'll be good.
Wow, wow. I mean, I think we have successfully said it is a myth. If you are from tier 2, the earth of capital is not there. But let's get a little deeper. Vaibhav, I'll start with you. What would you look for when a company comes to you for the first check? And would that change if the person comes from a tier 2 city or a tier 3 city?
No, so I think very clearly it won't change. I think at Better Capital, one of our key objectives is to remove bias in the system, right? So I think percentage-wise, we have a large number of women founders. We have a large number of husband-wife founders. And I honestly haven't really considered where they are based to actually make a decision. Most of the time that when we meet new founders, we meet them through some introduction. So I would say that becomes crucial just because it's a trust network that you ride in this ecosystem. So it is important to find that. And I think it sets the stage for that first meeting because you are not trying to judge everything about the person. You actually know enough about the person because somebody else that you know and trust has validated that, hey, this is somebody you should speak with. So I think once that is set, which is something I would highly recommend to everyone, it really boils down to what it is. Like Amitabh mentioned, when beauty is in the eye of the beholder, it really is about, has a founder done enough work to figure out what we do and why they are a relevant startup for us to consider, right? And I think besides those 2 points, then it boils down to how well are you explaining what you're doing. Whether what you're doing will work or not, how good it is, that's actually a secondary part of the discussion. But where a lot of trust gets built inside that first conversation is when you fall in love with the story. You know, there's another founder, I'll give you an example because it's always easier to talk like that. There's a founder, he's grown up from a tier 2 town, I don't remember which one, Abhishek Kejriwal, who is a founder of a company called Kutumb. It's a community play. On our very first call, his clarity of thought in explaining what he was doing and why he was doing it was so good that I felt that, hey, I need to pay attention to why he has so much clarity. Because remember, clarity comes based on your deep understanding of a problem. And I think that displays when somebody, people just say storytelling. Nobody explains why storytelling is important. Storytelling is just a very broad word and usually abused and not understood and not taught. What it really means to me is when somebody is explaining with deep clarity, why is it that I'm in love with a problem and I'm solving it, right? So that's the third part, I would say. And then eventually, I think it boils down to sort of the fuller problem. I've tweeted about this. There is a format I like. It came on from one of our founders. We call it the pitch thread. And the pitch thread is essentially, if you guys use Twitter, it's like a Twitter thread, except it's not published. There are a bunch of Twitter tools. You can use a pitch thread. And the pitch thread allows you to explain that story as clearly as you understand without falling in the in the problem of, is my deck looking good? What color should I use? And things like that, right? It's really a brain dump in a very sequential fashion, right? So I think that still is much more powerful for me than a PowerPoint presentation or anything else, right? So I think these are the 4 things that I look for when we are meeting somebody new. And then after that, there's a lot of exploration because once you sort of get sucked into, like Ashutosh of your physio called Fix Health now, who's from Nagpur, once he convinced me that, 80% of pain is related to musculoskeletal conditions which can be treated without touching the patient ever. After that, it was, so he brought that clarity to me on the first call. After that was done, then I was ready for exploring more. Right? So I think there is no one answer that kind of just gets you a great meeting. I think that first meeting is about making sure that you as a founder create the opportunity for that second meeting. Right? And that's what I would go about.
That's really interesting. I think if I were to summarize, have a warm introduction in the meeting, be clear what you really want, what you're basically building, maybe 200 to 300 characters to drive a point, and in it there. It doesn't matter whether it's beautiful or not. What really matters is it clear or not, and that's what Weber would look for. Prajakth, I'll take this to you next. So what is very interesting, I think Weber has covered a lot about what would you look for in a startup which comes to him for his first check. But you have done a lot of research on the other side, supply chain. You have a thesis where you say that the rural economy, the rural retail economy is actually going to double by 2030. So can you tell us a few white spaces which you see in this economy where you see a lot of things happening but not enough, you would love to see more innovation?
And if it's okay, before I answer that question, I want to just add to, what was being discussed. It's contextual in the sense what we would look for in a startup that's coming from tier 2 depends on where they're coming from. Now, if they're coming from a town where there are no angel investors, there is nothing else, then it's okay. Then we don't need to look for anything else. But if they're coming from a place like a Nagpur, where there is people like Shashi and Jay have created a very vibrant, angel investor network, if they haven't even bothered to go to them, that's a red flag for us. In terms of they haven't been able, at least they may not have got a check from them, but at least have they made the effort to go into them. So people, and a fantastic, sort of the ecosystem that Tai and Shashi and etc. have been able to, it's very, very accessible to a lot of people. So that would be, one thing, depending on where you're coming from. On the white spaces, see, and all funds will have different theses. Our thesis is that we want to back entrepreneurs who are powering India's growth story. What is the growth story based on? On a bunch of things. One is that a lot more manufacturing will come into India over the next 2 or 3 decades. And therefore, anything that optimizes the manufacturing process overall, there are opportunities. We also believe that the world is moving from mega factories to a distributed manufacturing environment, which means that there will be a lot more stakeholders. See, pehle kya hota tha, you could do business with a few people on WhatsApp, email, phone calls and stuff like that because those relations were few and far between. As the number of stakeholders increase, the complexity of these things are going to be multifold, and therefore people who are stitching together the synchronization of business processes are the kind of areas that we will get into. The third area that we believe is going to be extremely important are companies that are enabling SMEs to export and simplifying exports for people. These are broadly 3-4 areas, and apart from, of course, opening up the rural markets for goods to flow into rural markets and for easier and more cost-efficient supply of those goods produced in those rural areas into urban markets are the areas that we look at.
So the one theme which I see in both of the discussions which came from Weber as well as you, specifically if you're building for this region, for the middle of India, it's about specializing in small things. It's about decentralizing business models, not having a huge business model with multiple verticals, but breaking into pieces, mastering into one, and that's what is the recipe to success. Is that right?
And always, in my last 20 years in the startup world, I've noticed that people who attempt to do more than one thing, at least in the initial phases, usually find it a lot more challenging to do it than people who would, and it's counterintuitive. यार ये तो adjacent है, ये भी कर सकता हूँ, ये भी कर सकता हूँ, ये भी कर सकते हो, but the dynamics are different. And I often like to illustrate with an example to people. In my mind, a Pizza Hut and Domino's are two separate businesses. Their product may be the same, but the competencies required to run a successful Domino's business are very different from the competencies that you can build in an organization that are required to build a Pizza Hut. And therefore, because it is hard to build competencies around one aspect about business, imagine trying to build it into 3. Even, for example, with the same product, trying to sell to a large enterprise versus trying to sell to a small enterprise versus trying to do B2B, Product may be the same, everything may be the same. The dynamics of just managing the other parts around it are just so different that it's just better if you focus on one thing, build a strong foundation, and when there is a stronger foundation, when you have enough resources, you have enough people, you've got, you know, sort of understanding of how these things work, nothing stops you from moving into adjacent areas. ऐसे नहीं है कि opportunity आज है कल चली जाएगी, right?
Well said, well said. Vikas, before I come to you, I'll take this to Amitabh for one specific thing. So we spoke about agriculture, we spoke about manufacturing, decentralized supply chains. You're a B2B investor. Enterprise SaaS is one thing which you've seen. What we have seen, this huge chunk of enterprise SaaS being built from tier 2, tier 3 cities now. Things are moving out. Is it unit economics? Why is it that we see this movement happening? And how do you see this panning out? And do you think Nagpur can play a role over here?
I didn't quite get the question. So you're saying that B2B
enterprise SaaS in specific, if you'd see, they all are moving towards Chennai, Hyderabad, or other towns more than the larger, the Delhi, Mumbai, and the Bangalores of the world. Why is it? Is it unit economics? Is it that they offer something special? And do you think some place like Vidarbha can really play a role over there and build something interesting?
Okay, I'll answer that. We just go back to what some of the people said before. So there are 5 things that I would look at on a continuous basis across 7 to 10 meetings with an entrepreneur, 30 to 40 email exchanges, and maybe 80 or 90 WhatsApp exchanges. Yeah, there are 5 things: team, market, yeah, product or your solution, traction, and last but not the least, opportunity for me to exit. Team. So when you're talking to an investor, talk about your team, the market, the product that you have, the traction that you have, and give them options for exit. Yeah. When I'm investing my own money in my personal capacity, these may not matter so much. I won't have so many meetings. But when I'm investing somebody else's money, these are the 5 things that I would look at, just to kind of complete the loop on this one. Yeah, I do see a lot.
Before you answer, then I'll take Vikas's thoughts also on that question. Vikas, what are your thoughts? Anything which you would add to that list?
So the answer that you were, question that you are looking is Chennai, Hyderabad and all that.
I mean more from the perspective of what would you look for when you're writing the first check? I think we heard the 3 gentlemen.
Okay. So 60% is founder, very, very clearly. Does he owe the passion कि मुझे धंधा चलाना है, मैं खड़ा हूँ, मैं करूँगा. अगर वो नहीं है, पहले चेक का कोई मतलब नहीं. You don't have any Excel, you don't have any numbers. You are generally putting either on a very small GTM या कुछ idea होगा. 20% is on idea. Do we believe it is a 1,000 crore idea? Because, so for example, somebody came up with some ear solution for hearing issues. India में market ही वो 100-200 crore की है. So even if I invest at certain valuation, can I get ROI? No, there is no possibility. And third, which is the last 20%, is pure execution. तो 60% founder पे होता है. Most of the people believe कोई Excel होती है, कोई analytics होता है, कोई data होता है. अरे कुछ नहीं होता दोस्तों, कुछ नहीं होता. All that starts possibly at Series A. When a company is 24, 36 years old, उसने कुछ पैसा burn किया, bootstrap किया, तब आप Excel देख सकते हो. And we write a lot of check as a first check. In fact, last year we did 30 such checks. One of the company was very similar, as Weber mentioned, which was into exactly this solution of a physiotherapy online. That's a single lady, Health IQ is the company name. मुझे भी तभी पता चला कि physio में नहीं चाहिए होता कुछ. My belief is कि कोई आएगा, पकड़ेगा, रगड़ेगा. That's how physio is assumed to be. And the lady told me that 50% physio is actually for pregnant females, because they need actual movement. जहाँ पे आपको सिर्फ उन्हें guide करना है, आपको कुछ physically कुछ नहीं करना. And all that is part of learning that you get, and that's where you keep investing on ideas.
Wonderful. I think this sector is really good because recently I raised capital for a company which is exactly doing the same thing too. So
I hope it is same as mine, so I can get a multiplier.
So Amitabh, taking it back to you, how would you look at B2B SaaS?
Yeah, so I mean, unit economics for any startup is extremely important, which is really your gross margin at the unit level. So when whatever you're selling at the unit level, it's making money. Then as far as the B2B SaaS is concerned, so enterprise would be different from SaaS, yeah? I mean, you'll see, Zoho is a good example, right? But they started off in Chennai, then moved to a smaller town. Vyavya Labs, where I have invested, they started in Belgaum and then they expanded to Bangalore because they didn't have enough talent to grow. And the business had a little bit of services element, so they needed, access to talent. So they kind of moved to Bangalore, but now they've kind of moved back to Belgaum. The team is great, and I don't see many examples of that. Maybe others have some other experience in that area, but I haven't seen many examples. But I would certainly say that Nagpur and Vidarbha area has a lot of potential. I mean, you have good talent. What's the population now? It's about 30 lakhs plus. So I'm sure that Nagpur attracts good talent. And mentors like Shashi, Jay Chopre, quite a few people in this city take their mentorship, take their first check actually, and then that's all I have to say. Anybody wants to add?
Anybody else would like to add to this one?
So I think there's one trend that we're seeing, which is, I think, the concentration of startups in the major hubs is also driving some downsides, which is salaries that are going far ahead of their capabilities and whatnot. So as you go through down cycles like the one that we're going through right now, I think founders who belong to other cities, like let's say Nagpur, and they've had a small office or that's where they were from before, they're going to question and wonder that, hey, can I still build a team in Nagpur as well, right? So I think we'll see some of that happening over the years, where the towns like Nagpur will have companies starting offices, product companies, enterprise software like you mentioned, B2B SaaS maybe, and I think that will sort of give the foundation that may be missing for more stuff to happen. Right? I think Chennai sort of started that way also to a certain extent, and I think it's likely to happen over a period of time.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Vikas, I'll take this to you. I want a different perspective, right? So, for example, Prachak said that if you're building in Nagpur, you have a vibrant ecosystem which Sashi has made. You have not reached out to him. It's a problem. You yourself have done roadshows at WFC in a lot of smaller towns of Rajasthan or all across the country. And you've raised capital from these HNIs. What do you think they are at? What is it that they are looking for in these startups? Is their perspective different? Is it that they need to be taught a little differently because they might be first-time angel investors? If an entrepreneur who's building out of Nagpur is reaching out to one of them, what should be his thoughts?
So from an investor perspective, पहली बात ध्यान रखें, इंडिया में बहुत पैसा है, पैसे की कोई कमी नहीं है, लोग परेशान हैं इन्वेस्ट का करना है, एंड आई नो पीपल 100 करोड़ रुपए एफडी कर रखा है बिकॉज दे डोंट नो, एंड आई मीन इट. सो आई थिंक फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट प्रॉब्लम इज एजुकेशन, एंड आई डोंट सी दैट एज अ प्रॉब्लम. सो आई कम फ्रॉम इंडिया मार्ट. वी स्पेंड 10 years जस्ट टू एजुकेट एसएमईज. या इंटरनेट पे धंधा करो, हमें पैसा मिलेगा नहीं मिलेगा तो बात की बात है. आई थिंक वहीं पे स्टार्टअप खड़ा है. 10 साल मैं बैठा हूँ, सर बैठे हैं, सुनिक और मैचर्स, ऑल ऑफ अस. अभी 10 साल तो एजुकेशन के लग जाएंगे, वेयर वी ओनली बूस्ट ऑफ 50,000 इन्वेस्टर्स इन ऑल ऑफ इंडिया जो स्टार्टअप में इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं. द नेक्स्ट एसेट क्लास, एंड सो बिगेस्ट प्रॉब्लम, लोग इसे एसेट क्लास नहीं समझते. लोग अभी भी सोचते हैं एक स्टार्टअप में इन्वेस्ट करेंगे, 2 में करेंगे, अलादीन का चिराग के कुछ जादू होगा, कुछ नहीं होगा. अनलेस यू आर लुकिंग इट एज अ स्ट्रक्चर्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट, नंबर 1. नंबर 2, द नेक्स्ट एसेट क्लास इज म्यूचुअल फंड, जहाँ पे 14 करोड़ अकाउंट है. वर्ल्ड में किसी 2 एसेट क्लास में 14 करोड़ और 50,000 का गैप नहीं है. सो इट्स अ लॉन्ग रोड दैट वी नीड टू ट्रैवल. थर्ड, व्हेन वी गो टू टियर 2, उनकी 2 रिक्वायरमेंट है. 1, दे कीप रीडिंग दोज न्यूज़पेपर्स, दे कीप रीडिंग वो वीसी फंड है, ये है, दे वांट देयर नेम अलॉन्ग साइड, दैट्स देयर फर्स्ट आस्क. मुझे भी वहाँ पे जुड़ना है, मुझे भी एलपी बनना, कोई आके बताओ कैसे होगा. यू कांट हैव अ वीसी फंड एलपी ऑन अ जूम. आई कैन गिव अ एग्जांपल. वी वर इन कोटा, हम रोड शो करते हैं एंड ऑल दैट, तो हमें लगा 20-25 लोग आएंगे, और कितने आएंगे, देयर वर 80 पीपल इन द रूम. एंड कोटा में 2 ही काम होते हैं, या तो आईआईटी के कॉलेजेस खुले हुए हैं, या वो कॉलेज बनाने वाले बिल्डर हैं. वहाँ 2 ही काम है बस, बिल्डर है या वो इंस्टीट्यूट है. 80 पीपल हु वर इन द, एंड बाय द वे, फॉर अ डिसेंट teacher in Kota, the salary is 4 crore rupees. Okay, and obviously he's a IIT backed teacher and blah blah. उन 80 लोगों में तो वो टीचर थे भी नहीं बेचारे, because they were the lowest class in those investors, and net worth of those 80 people was 1,00,000 crore of those 80 people sitting in the room. और सबकी एक ही परेशानी है, दोस्त कुछ तो बता दो करना क्या. piles of money, you can't keep buying cars and keep buying all that. So as I say, first is visibility. Number two problem that they want to solve is now their kids are getting 18 year, 20 year, 22 year. उन्हें वो आज शार्क टैंक देखकर पैदा हुए हैं, आज शार्क टैंक देखकर कर रहे हैं, जहाँ पे आज हम लोग 20 साल बाद मोबाइल और टच स्क्रीन यूज़ कर रहे हैं, बच्चे आज कर रहे हैं. So I think second problem they want to solve using all this is to create visibility for them and can they directly start their startups. और ये knowledge तो वहीं जाके आएगी. दिल्ली, बॉम्बे, बेंगलोर में कुछ नहीं पता चलने वाला. When we say we travel, last year we traveled to Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu के 9 शहर गए हम. It is not Chennai. Chennai, Coimbatore, Trichy, Vellore, Erode, Salem, Tiruchirappalli. वहाँ जाके इवेंट करते हैं. I am telling you there's piles of cash. Not piles of cash, sorry. कोई सुन तो नहीं रहा. So piles of money lying here. But बहुत पैसा है. They just want visibility for themselves and next step for the next generation. That's my view.
So, I think we have a recipe of even if you're building from Nagpur, you can actually raise capital here. You don't have to go out necessarily. It's just that you need to know what is the investor looking for and structure your pitch accordingly. And you will not have to go very far from home. And in fact, if you're building for Nagpur and if your end consumer is in Nagpur, raising capital from here will give you market access as well, which is a big plus and which is something which every angel investee company is looking for. I think Shashi.
Sir, just to add, we keep doing road shows and I guarantee इस साल नागपुर में 2 रोड शो करेंगे इन्वेस्टर का. Obviously founders को नहीं बुला पाएंगे, there are a lot of founders sitting here. But just to give an idea कि पैसा है, लोग आएंगे. Can you go and keep teaching them कि ये investment ऐसे क्लास में करना है. नागपुर में करके दिखाएंगे, फोटो भेजेंगे, don't worry. शशि सर है, उनके थ्रू भेजेंगे. Lot of people would be there.
Let's do a Q&A. You're thinking rather than the rapid fire.
Guys, so I think we have heard a lot from them, from an entrepreneur's perspective, investor's perspective, but any of you, if you have a specific question, if you have tried to face that while you are raising capital or something which you think really needs to talk about, please go ahead, ask questions.
Yeah. Don't pitch to us, okay? This is not a pitch session, so just be brief in your question. Yeah, please go ahead. Not pitching. Can somebody pass the mic around?
Okay, so I'm Siddhant. I'm building a D2C brand, a product brand from Nagpur.
Don't pitch.
No, not pitching. So I'm just asking ki, if I'm raising seed fund of 50 lakh rupees, what are the expectations of the seed investor? उनके क्या expectations होते हैं कि अगर मैंने 50 लाख raise किया, तो I know कि sector सब change करेगा, but like what are the expectations कि कितने साल में चाहिए उनको and कितना वापस चाहिए? And like is it an exit or any other way of exit?
दोस्त पैसा तो कोई भी लगाएगा पैसा वापस लेने के लिए, उसमें तो कोई ज्ञान है नहीं. देखो, इन्वेस्टर नीड्स हिज मनी. वी कैन ऑलवेज डिबेट कि 5x चाहिए, 50x चाहिए. आई जनरली से फॉर इन्वेस्टमेंट इन दिस एसेट क्लास, एनीथिंग एट 4x in 5 to 7 years is my school of thought. Even as a VC fund, if I can't give a 24% CAGR, it doesn't hold any value for me. अभी हम मार्केट में जाते हैं, लोगों ने तो उल्टा कहना शुरू कर दिया कि यार इंडिया में तो म्यूचुअल फंड ही 40% दे रहा है, तो स्टार्टअप में क्या इन्वेस्ट करें. दैट्स व्हाट वी कीप हियरिंग. एंड यू कैन हैव लॉट ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट, वो कहते हैं भाई मेरी फैक्ट्री में 25-30% कमा रहा हूँ. एंड आर ओनली आंसर टू देम, दोस्त डाइवर्सिफाई कर लो. दैट्स हाउ वी पुट देयर मनी इनटू डिफरेंट एसेट क्लास. बट अनलेस यू आर लुकिंग एट 25-30% CAGR रिटर्न्स टू इन्वेस्टर इन वट एवर फॉर्म, पीपल शुड नॉट बी इंटरेस्टेड. ऑब्वियसली आपका आइडिया चलेगा नहीं चलेगा, एंड दैट्स व्हाई आई एम अ वेरी strong believer in diversification. I have done 50 investments, मान करके कि 40 बर्बाद हो जाएंगी, बट क्या 10 से कमाऊंगा. That's how agile investment happen. तो आप D2C कर रहे हैं, that's okay, and any industry you are doing. Second answer, market है क्या उतनी, इमोशनल होकर बिजनेस नहीं चलता, क्योंकि सब D2C है तो मैं भी कर लेता हूँ, नागपुर में कर लेता हूँ. Are you worth a 500 crore market? वरना आप पहली बार 10-20 करोड़ पे रेस करोगे तो भाई किसी को 25x का सपना तो दिखा पाओगे. अगर वो एक्सेल में ही नहीं जुड़ रहा है, आप ही की एक्सेल में नहीं जुड़ेगा, तो इन्वेस्टर तो समझदार है आपसे ज़्यादा, तो वो देख लीजिए.
So I'll just add to this one, right? We all know 50% of startups will not even return capital. So the guy's return expectation is 25% across the platform, across the portfolio which he has built.
Yeah.
So from a particular investment, he might actually be looking upwards of 40-45%. So for your particular investment, maybe 25 will not be right. So this really depends upon different people. As Vikas said, it's more dependent on whom are you going to. But yes, people can have expectations of 40% also. You should be ready for that when you're going out in the market. Next question. Please. Please go ahead, sir.
Hi everybody, this is Neeraj Takalkade. I recently relocated from US to Nagpur to take care of parents, and I have a big concern. So I belong to Gen Y, millennial, right? And my kids belong to Gen Alpha, Gen Beta, and everybody in Gen Alpha, Gen Beta, they want to do startup, right? But the ecosystem doesn't exist in every city. Nagpur is blessed with Sashi sir that we have a guiding post here. But when you travel to India, especially in tier 2, tier 3 cities, have you seen a vibrant ecosystem for startup, even in one vertical per se, that would be good. Have you seen, which cities come to mind when you think about vibrant ecosystem?
Indore. Look at Indore. There are many more cities, but I just said intro, just to be brief. Yeah.
I think Jaipur,
Jaipur is
bunch of towns. I think it will happen over this decade. It will happen because I think if you just zoom out, right, the last 5 years, and many folks have been in the venture ecosystem for a long time. It's only in the last 5 to 7 years that India actually had the inflection point in terms of the number of highly qualified and talented people who started a company, as well as the amount of capital. I think we received more capital in the last 5 years than we ever had in the last 15 years before that, right? So I think this is really at the beginning, and I think we will see kind of the spread that will happen over the years, and Indore, Jaipur, and a bunch of other cities are there.
सर मैं थोड़ा ऐड करता हूँ. वी फाउंडर सर्कल दिल्ली बेस्ड है. दिल्ली बेस्ड भी नहीं पता मुझे कहाँ बेस्ड है, सॉरी. वी आर 5 को फाउंडर्स सिटिंग इन 4 सिटीज़. एक सूरत में है जो टियर 2 या टियर 3 है, एक बॉम्बे, एक बेंगलोर, एक दिल्ली है. डाटा टीम मेरी देहरादून बैठी है, टेक्नोलॉजी टीम मेरी गुड़गांव बैठी है, सेल्स के 2 आदमी चेन्नई में बैठे हैं. तो इकोसिस्टम होगा शायद नोएडा में, बेस्ट ऑफ बेस्ट, पर जहाँ पे रिक्वायरमेंट है वहीं से निकलेगा. तो व्हेन यू से नागपुर, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आपका मार्केट क्या है वो आपको डिफाइन करना. इकोसिस्टम सब अवेलेबल है थैंक्स टू जूम. आप कुछ भी फिजिकली बैठ के नहीं कर रहे कहीं भी. माई इन्वेस्टर्स आर पैन इंडिया. वी हैव 2000 LPs ऑन प्लेटफॉर्म. वी बूस्ट ऑफ पीपल फ्रॉम 700 cities अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड. सब नोएडा, बेंगलोर, बॉम्बे बैठ के ही हो रहा है, कहीं कोई नहीं जा रहा, कहीं भी नहीं जा रहा फॉर दैट मैटर. सो ये जो इकोसिस्टम में आई थिंक हमने अपने आप को रोक रखा है. वी हैव क्रिएटेड एंट्री बैरियर फॉर आवरसेल्फ. सब कुछ परफेक्ट होगा तो मैं दुनिया बसाऊंगा, ऐसा होने नहीं वाला. इंडिया में तो 20 साल में भी नहीं होगा अभी. बट क्या इंडिया में मार्केट नहीं है? आई वॉज इन वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट इवेंट वेब सबमिट लिस्बन नवंबर 22, एंड वी वेंट कि जाते हैं पूछते हैं इंडिया के, एंड द ओनली आंसर वी गॉट, भाई इंडिया से आए हो, आए क्यों हो, सिर्फ नीचे करो, काम करो, सब हो जाएगा. तो आई थिंक वी आर थिंकिंग टू मच ऑफ अवेलेबिलिटी. वी आर मोर देन ब्लेस्ड इज माई आंसर.
So I sit in Mumbai. I do my business from Mumbai. My full-time business is raising capital, and I don't think I meet more than 2 or 3 people in person. Everything is on Zoom calls. All of these gentlemen, I have spoken to them on Zoom calls, but I've never seen them. That's the reality of our lives. Please, you had a question.
My question is for Vaibhav. Vaibhav, we are a husband-wife duo team, and we are building a B2B marketplace. First time I'm seeing that investor is saying that we look positive sides when a husband-wife is building something. Because in yesterday networking dinner also, we just met somebody and sensed that the biggest challenge what you will gonna have from the investor side is that you are a husband-wife team. And it is tough to raise the investment when you husband-wife is working. And the same case happened with Varun Alag also. Like when we met, he said we also initially faced too much challenges for this. So what positive sign you are looking in a team when they are a husband and wife?
So I think, like I said earlier, we're not letting that bias come in, which means when I'm looking at a team, maybe they're a husband and wife team, but I'm not looking at them that way, number one. Number two, I think the negative side does come in sometimes because they're not equal co-founders, correct? So we have a company called Cradlewise where Radhika and Bharat are husband and wife team, but they're very strong co-founders, each of them taking very different things in terms of responsibilities and what their expertise is, right? So when you go into a meeting and you are explaining what you're building and you are clearly explaining who does what, and when that checks out, I think you will be in a much better position overall across conversations. There will be some situations where it's a valid concern that, let's say, if it's a two founders team and both of them are related as a husband and wife, then obviously there is a fundamental risk as well. Correct? So I think you want to go in and address that risk in some way by sharing why you're doing, what is the vision and what brought you here, right? That builds, there's another team, Nidhi and Shikhar, who are doing a company called Samosa Singh. They're a husband-wife team as well. Yeah. So I think they're very committed. They do very different roles. They're equally strong in what they're doing. And as long as you display that, somebody could turn it around and say, look, I think we are not, the chances of falling out of co-founders is going to be much lower here, technically, let's say, right? So I think you got to turn it around and position it correctly.
Thanks, Vaibhav.
Just to add, one of our largest tech is Oban. That's a EV motorcycle. They are husband, wife, Madhumita and Dinkar. The only answer I want to give in your question, do both of you have different competencies? Agar dono sales wale ho ya dono product wale ho, that doesn't add any value to investor and that's a problem statement. If you bring different competencies, they are more than good कि आपको hire भी नहीं करना है, कम आदमी hire होगा तो उनके लिए अच्छा है. But that's how, as an investor, I would say.
Thanks, Vikas.
Thank you so much. We can take offline the question.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much all the panelists for the great insights, and thank you so much Harsh.
So again, just coming back to what Prajakth said, Vaibhav said, Amitabh, you said, right, that in terms of the investors from this part of the region have to come forward. And unless they show the kind of the interest in that startup, it doesn't make, that's a red signal, that's what you mentioned. So I just wanted to confirm that, because for Dhruvil said, I committed to him the first check 1 month back, not that after you committed 2 crores, and I'm hoping that you would be comfortable that I'm writing the first check.
That was in fact the comforting.
Okay, thank you. So that's how, the confidence and those things would happen in the manner that would come. Extremely interesting panel, very insightful discussions all over here. Again, the special connect you brought in terms of the Nagpur, because everybody is from the Nagpur, this part of the region. And just on the phone calls, that's the best part of this, just on the phone calls, everybody agreed. I'm so thankful for that, because you have your own schedules. See, for this conference to organize, we got only 45 days. And again, we never knew what kind of facilities were going to be there. Registrations were handled by somebody else. We were not controlling it. Lunch was handled by somebody else. Travel was central, somebody else. And still to create a panel and the kind of the opportunities for this kind of region, almost like 32 investors came in, seed funds. Everybody was from outside. There was not a single person from Nagpur. So we wanted to make sure that all the seed funds and the investors are from from the different parts of the region, and they come over here. And at the same time, I'm very glad to say yesterday we signed an MOU where not only the 6 seed funds signed the MOU for supporting the startups from this region, we are about to sign 4 more today. So almost like close to 10 seed funds, they are committing their kind of help to the startups from this region for 3 years. That's the kind of the arrangement. And also, yesterday, we just took this opportunity of this event in terms of going back to all the family offices, who's who from the Nagpur part of the region, be it Haldirams, be it Nuwal, be it all the top-notch Sanchetis and all the, you name the person who is in the top tier. So almost 25 people. Just to give you an example, किसने बोला था? विकास. So विकास ने बोला था कि पैसे की कमी नहीं है वैसे. And literally, because we were running this parallel thread, just to give you an example. तो हम लोगों ने बोला कि ये तो seed funds के साथ में तो MOU sign हो रहा है. We'll reach out to all these big guys and ask them that, as a community from this part of the region, they need to commit the funds. ऑफ कोर्स इफ दे लाइक दे वुड इन्वेस्ट. ऐसा कोई चैरिटी है ही नहीं यहाँ जो विकास ने बोला कि कितना डाला उसके बाद में कितना मिलता है. दैट ड्राइव्स द इक्वेशन. वी वेर एमिंग फॉर 10 people. दिस वॉज डे बिफोर यस्टरडे. तो पूनम कहाँ बैठी है यहाँ पे नहीं. तो हम लोग साथ में काम कर रहे थे. वेंचर कैटलिस्ट का ग्रुप अलग से था, उसी में काफ़ी सारे लोग थे. बोला तो जिनको रीच आउट करो, पर्सनली मैं बात करता हूँ. अजय संचिती साहब बोलो, नुवाल साहब बोलो, जो बड़े बड़े लोग हैं, मैं पर्सनली बात करता हूँ. सो 10 people डे बिफोर यस्टरडे. Yesterday morning, MOUs were to be signed at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. That was the message given to us. सवेरे 8 बजे 10, 10 बजे 15, 1 बजे 20, 2 बजे 25. We were asked to limit. 2:30 बजे one call, desperate call comes to me. See, now a desperate call coming to me. कुछ भी करो, मुझे अंदर में लो, मैं 75 लाख रुपए लगाऊंगा. तो and these people have committed 25 lakhs rupees each per year, which means almost 75 lakhs each person is committing for 3 years, subject to diligence and they like about the company, which means the Nagpur investors are going to commit almost like 20 crores kind of investment coming from all big offices. And this happens because all these people are supporting it. They see it, it's like a mutual cycle that plays out. And moment the message goes out from the person like now the project said that he is going to be investing in the startup, right? And this was, right now we had this MOU signing also, right? Abhi 2 baje, on the run time we adjusted, and the project and Pankaj were there and we exchanged the MOU in front of all the crowd and Gadkari Saab were present. But that gives the confidence back to the society. And I'm really thankful for all the panel. I know how hectic schedules are there. एक को पकड़ना आसान नहीं है. और आप लोगों, and this was our first maiden attempt to do it. Next time I'll promise you we'll do a better job with all community from the people from Nagpur. Just to give you an example, we were only 3 people as a driving this complete initiative and 4 volunteers. This whole show was put by 7 people. And I would like to ask Shivaji, please come on the table. Kush kahan hai? आ जाओ. So please give them a big hand. Only 2 people. मैं अकेला और ये 2 और इनके नीचे ये 4 टीम. Please come. So there were these all volunteers from INFED. Because this is the last session, that's where we are concluding. So I want to acknowledge. अच्छा ठीक है. आ जाओ रायसोनी, आ जाओ सचिन, आ जाओ. विजय कहाँ पे? ओसामा, आ जाओ. सचित एंड निधि, आप तो है करेक्ट, आ जाओ. Now you see the entire organizing team over here. The entire. This show was put up only by, the 2 key people and ably supported by these many people. And they did a fantastic job and just managing the whole show in 30 days. So thank you all. I wanted to publicly acknowledge that kind of stuff. So that's where, चलो बिल्कुल फोटो एक हो जाए.
Thank you, Shashi sir, also for the opportunity and having trusted us to deliver this event. So I and Kush, both of us remember कि sir ने पहली meeting जब बुलाई, तो we didn't expect कि he is going to take the bar so high, and we were like कि 4-5 we are looking at not hosting not more than 4-5 guests, but sir was like ये करना है, ये करना है, ये करना है, ये करना है, and we were एक sheet पे चालू हुआ and then वो गूगल शीट में टैप पे चल. So thank you Shashi sir for having trusted Kush and me to deliver this
And thanks a lot our teams to have supported us in this big way. Thank you.
I mean, Osama को तो बिल्कुल hats off, managing all the schedules. पहला दिन बुकिंग किया, 8 लोग का 10 लोग का बुकिंग किया, 3 घंटे में 5 का रीराउटिंग, कैंसिलेशन, रीबुकिंग. अभी इधर से आ रहा हूँ, अभी उधर जा रहा हूँ. And the best part is we are not in control. So we have to go to the central people. उनसे अप्रूवल लो, फिर चेंज कराओ. And these people manage this job. यानी I think yesterday when परसों नाइट को तो हम 2 घंटा सोए, कल के नाइट में भी last message was 2 o'clock when Vaibhav was about to come in at 1:45, and they were making sure that you've been properly organized and put it into the IMs. So great job guys, all the volunteers. आप आपका नाम एक बार बता दो, ओसामा से लेके पहले और बाद में इधर. अच्छा ये ले लो.
So I am Osama Siddiqui, and I am working as a community manager in Raisoni TBI. And it is my just first month I came in TBI and got a chance to meet so many, so life took a turnaround, 180 degree turnaround. And I don't know, I was not hoping to see so many people of so high stature. So thanks a lot, sir, for trusting me and giving me this opportunity. And any discomfort from my side for you, any mistakes from my side, so I apologize for that. And thank you so much for coordinating and cooperating with me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon all. My name is Sachin Parpad Patil. I am a founder of Smartive Krishi Khata. हमारा इकोसिस्टम बहुत क्लोज नेटेड है नागपुर में. सर ने फ़ोन किया और कोई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी थी तो हम बिल्कुल लग जाते. तो सर कॉल्ड, बोले ये पोर्शन आपको करना है सचिन, दैट्स इट. एंड आई गेस होपफुली आई डिलीवर टू हिज एक्सपेक्टेशन. So thank you very much for an opportunity, sir.
Yeah. He was managing the expo part of it, the only responsibility, but managed beautifully. Kush.
Yeah. Hello everyone, this is Kush Katara. So I am the CEO of Raisoni Incubator, and first of all, I am really sorry for any inconvenience caused from my end. So we were under thorough pressure. So I hope we did our best to serve you. And first of all, thank you Shashi sir and Shivaji sir for arranging this beautiful event. And I'd really like to appreciate Shashi sir because the efforts put by him, the odd working hours and so you can't expect a person with such high caliber and to give this much dedication. He has his own company to run and he has some other important jobs as well. Despite that, he was always on time and always keep on track, and so it's really an inspiration. Yeah, inspiration. Yeah, and always following up. So that was a really learning curve for me, sir. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for being there. Yeah.
Hi everyone, this is Nidhi Baushe. I represent here a Delaplex company, and I'm the ex-executive director of TIE Nagpur, and though I'm still a charter member with TIE community. And thank you Shashi sir for the opportunity and always guiding and mentoring everyone. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Isha Salame and I work as a program manager at INFED, IIM Nagpur. So I think this event was an excellent exposure and opportunity for us to network and meet so many wonderful people in the ecosystem. And I think it is Shashi sir's enthusiastic attitude that made us going, because we were really inspired by the way he wanted everything to be perfect. And I think we all have tried our level best for that. Thank you so much, sir.
Hello everyone, this is Shubhangini Ingle. I am working at INFED, I am Nagpur. I am handling the account and compliance part. It was such a nice experience for me. Actually, I am handling the investment part of due diligence, so this is nice for me at all. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Anisha Pandav. I am the outreach executive at INFED, I am Nagpur. And I'd like to thank Shivaji sir, Shashikant sir, Kush and everyone on the team for giving me the responsibilities that they gave. And I'm really grateful for this wonderful opportunity to network with such highly distinguished people.
Hello, good afternoon. I am Vijay Dhole. I am a founder at Mitra Sena. We are into non-toxic crop protection. I love networking. One of the basic reason I reached out to Shashi sir personally, and I was thinking this as a learning opportunity of what all to do in terms of organizing an event, because I am planning to have such farmer events in my personal journey. So I was thinking of as a more of a learning curve, and thank you sir. I got to learn a lot for hosting an event, what all needs to be done, and the meticulous planning that you were personally involved in has given me a lot of ideas कि मुझे किस level पे involve होना पड़ेगा. So thank you.
The last one.
Hello. Hello, hi, I'm Sachit. I'm building my own startup called Happy Eaters, focused on babies' nutrition. I would like to thank all our esteemed guests for coming over and inspiring the youngsters. Special thanks to Shashi sir. He really raised the level for all of us. He's continued to be an inspiration, and next time hopefully we'll get all our glitches sorted. And we hope to see you all again. And again, a huge thanks to you and the audience for coming over.
And of course, we wanted, the last session was supposed to be Harsh Jain from Dream 11, but his grandmother expired. And that's the reason he had to go to Kolhapur. And that's the reason why he cancelled. Otherwise, still, I mean, when admitted, see the greatness of these people. Lungs collapsed, and she was admitted. And he calls and tells that हो सकता है रिवाइव हो जाए, कल तक मैं आपको 1 बजे तक बताऊं, तब तक मैं कैंसिल नहीं करूंगा. उसके बाद 2 घंटे बाद ही मैसेज आता है कि वो चली गई एंड शी हैज़ टू गो टू कोल्हापुर. उसी के लिए वो ड्रीम 11 के नहीं है, बट possibly on the next time. So thank you again for all the mentors also who have done a very interesting and curated all the startups. So this time we have really taken effort to curate every startup, every event, every speaker. Instead of going for a quantity, we try to go for a quality. And thanks supporting all the mentors. यहाँ पे हमारे बैठे internal mentors घनश्याम है, विष्णु है, जिन्होंने पूरा curate किया in terms of the startups who are going to be presented. So, अच्छा.
मैंने सोचा इतनी अच्छी खुशखबरियाँ चल रही है नागपुर के बारे में. My name is Ghanshyam, by the way, Ghanshyam Ahuja. I am basically from Nagpur, but I live in Singapore last 20 years. Happy to announce one more investment we are finalizing from Nagpur for the first time. Company called Hura. Some of you might be knowing. We are announcing in this event. We have been talking to them last few weeks. Hura is a car washing app, and we have announced a 20 lakh rupees worth of investment for that. Sir, congratulations for that.
Now you can
Right, so thank you so much all the participants for joining both the day's session on startup tracks, and I thanks everyone, and once again the Advantage Vidarbha startup track in collaboration in support with ecosystem founder GH Raisoni TBI Foundation and InFed IIM Nagpur. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining the session. Thank you.
We'll be starting with the next session shortly. I request all delegates to please occupy their seats and maintain silence in the hall. I sincerely request to everyone to please occupy their seats. Honorable Minister Shri Nitinji Gadkari is arriving in 5 minutes. Please settle down in your seats so that we can begin the program. Warm welcome to you all on the second day of the Khasdar Audyogik Mahotsav, Advantage Vidarbha, a mega industrial expo, business and investment conclave being held for the first time in the city of Nagpur. This event is organized by the Association for Industrial Development Aid. As you must have seen, this 3-day event has been planned to include 20 business sessions for various sectors. The entire area has been lined up with a whopping 240 stalls, out of which 90% are reserved for companies from Vidarbha. It is a dream project of our Honorable Minister, Shri Nitinji Gadkari, conceptualized by him to highlight the advantage of Vidarbha as an investment destination and to advocate the same at the national level. We welcome you, sir, at this event. It is our honor and privilege to have Shri Nitinji Gadkari amongst us. A huge round of applause. I would like to invite all dignitaries on stage here. Shri Vinod Tambi, Mr. Vinod Tambi ji, Mr. Ashish Kare, Mr. Vijay Sharma ji, Mr. C.P. Gurrani ji, Mr. Harish Mehta and Mr. Ajay Kapoor ji. It is indeed an honor for us to have such distinguished personalities from the IT sector here amongst us. At the outset, we would like to welcome all the dignitaries present on the dais. I would like to invite Mr. Ajay Kapoor to felicitate Shri Nitinji Gadkari. I would request Dr. Vijay Sharma to welcome Mr. C.P. Gurnani ji. Dr. Vijay Sharma to welcome Mr. C.P. Gurnani ji. I would now request Mr. Vinod Tambi sir to welcome Mr. Harish Mehta. I would like Mr. Ajay Kapoor to also welcome Mr. Ashish Kare. So before we formally begin the program for the IT sector, some very interesting announcements to be made. There are some MOUs signed and I would call upon Mr. Shashi Chaudhary to brief us and update us about these proceedings. Mr. Shashi, please.
So thank you for the opportunity, not taking too much of time. These are the MOUs being signed from the seed funds who are going to support the startups from Vidarbha. Yesterday we signed 6 MOUs. Today we are going to be signing 4 MOUs. So I would like to call Pooja Parmar from the Equanimity Ventures. They are going to be supporting the startups for 3 years. So please, Pooja, be on the stage. Next, we would like to call Vikas Agrawal from V Founder Circle and Ananya Ventures. Next, I would like to call Mr. Vijay Singh Rathod from Sunicon Ventures. we, we, we have Mr. Saraf from the Key Ventures, Har Saraf. Extremely sorry for that.
It's indeed a proud moment for us as Nagpurians and citizens of Vidarbha that such MOUs are being forged. I would now like to invite Dr. Vijay Sharma ji to say a few words.
I just want to say one sentence. When we started working for Advantage Vidarbha, what we found was IT sector and startup, most enthusiastic team who has come forward and helped us to make this event a great success. So clap for IT sector and Shashikant Chowdhury for his wonderful efforts. It's indeed a great moment for Nagpur to have such big companies and such down-to-earth CEOs. Thank you very much. And Vinod Tambiji, of course, our convener.
Yeah. Indeed, sir. Indeed, we live in a world of information, and information technology and information technology enabled service industry is one of the biggest GDP generating industries in India. And to showcase how Vidarbha can be a part of this scene, we have Mr. Vinod Tambi, who will be updating us and bring about the unveiling of a video showcasing this. So I invite Mr. Vinod Tambi.
It is the idea of Shailesh.
It is the idea of Mr. Sailesh, who is the CEO of HCL. So thank you so much, sir. To introduce Mr. Vinod Tambi, he is a serial entrepreneur, angel investor, ecosystem enabler, and a mentor with nearly 2 decades of experience in USA and more than a decade in India. He has done his master's in computer science from USA, and he is the founder and CEO of Exceller Software, a Nagpur-based software product company. He seed funded and co-founded a company which is now a cloud-based SaaS company which has users in more than 90 countries across 5 continents. He strongly advocates Nagpur as a destination for startups and companies and encourages Nagpurians based abroad to return to India for local IT development. So a person who leads by example, we have with us Mr. Vinod Tambiji.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, industry leaders, academicians, and the fellow visionaries. A warm welcome to Advantage Vidarbha ITES sector. Today, as we stand at the threshold of the new era, an era where Vidarbha rises as the next frontier of the Indian IT. कार्यक्रम के मुख्य अतिथि और इस कार्यक्रम को जिन्होंने एक दिशा दी और इतने कम समय में ये कार्यक्रम सफलतापूर्ण आयोजन करने के लिए ये 2 महानुभाव जो यहाँ बैठे हैं इनको मार्गदर्शन किया, ऐसे हमारे आदरणीय नेता नितिन जी गडकरी, जिनकी पहल और मेहनत पिछले दशक में पूरे राष्ट्र के बुनियादी ढांचे को आधारशिला बनी है, आपका स्वागत है. We have been knowing this region for oranges, tiger, and Nagpur being geographical center of the country. Now, Nagpur is also a geographical center of the IT, which is the theme with which we have this 2 days power pack session spread over. From roots to the rockets, Vidarbha an emerging IT powerhouse. An Indian story started bustling metropolis, but a new narrative is being written in the fertile heartland, Vidarbha, which is the strategic location, thriving talent pool, and cost-effective ecosystem, is poised to rewrite the rule book. It's not just about the numbers, it's also about the outcoming potential. Companies like Infoseps, Accent, Global Logic, Trust Fintech, Exelon Software, and many, many more are born right here in Nagpur and are going global with proving the brilliance bloom in every corner of this land. Cost advantage and talent innovation incubator. Lagat kam, pratibha jada. Low cost, high talent, dedicated team. That's the Vidarbha advantage. Vidarbha isn't just about cost advantage, it's also about fostering the culture of innovation, where institutions like NIRI, Cotton Research Institute, IIM, IIT, VNIT, RTMNU, RKNEC, Raisoni Group, Priyadarshini, and many more such institutions who are shaping the future of technology. Our universities and research centers hum this collective genius of scholars and industry experts, numbering groundbreaking ideas that will change the world. Connected to the future. Vidarbha isn't just an island, it's very seamlessly connected to the world through robust network of rail, road, and air infrastructure. Our digital arteries thrum with cutting-edge connectivity, really to meet the demand of future. And as we guide us, we have the wisdom of renowned scholars and tireless dedication of academicians, shaping the minds of the will, power of our future. Proven IT location. I wish to share that you all that many mid-sized companies, and we have two of the fastest growing IT services and product engineering companies, part of Nagpur ecosystem. And they have been here for more than 2 decades. They have begun their growing presence by increasing the resources and creating infrastructure since they had very good experience. This shows the huge potential of IT in Vidarbha. Beyond metro cities, remember the 60% who have left their roots for the city lights. The tide is turning, and the post-pandemic landscape, organizations have rediscovering the magic of growth. Cities like Nagpur, Infosys, TCS, HCL, Tech Mahindra. One more is missing, and I'm sure Nitinji is going to bring them in, Wipro, soon. And Accenture are setting up big centers here. It's a testament to that. With our top-notch infrastructure, skilled manpower, and vibrant ecosystem, Vidarbha is really going to create thousands of IT jobs, drawing talent back to their homeland. Nagpur, the gateway to the future. The beating heart of Vidarbha stands the cusp of digital revolution. With the collective efforts, we can make it the next powerhouse, not just in India, but the world. Today, we together share success stories, overcome challenges, and build the blueprint of the future brighter than 1,000 screens. We have industry leaders, academicians, policymakers, and more importantly, Nitinji, who can drive the force behind this journey. Call of action. आइए सब मिलके मंथन करें और भविष्य की रूपरेखा तय करें. Let us in the spirit of collaboration harness the potential of Vidarbha, ignite the minds of our youth, and build the thriving IT ecosystem that benefits the generation to come. In the closing session, we will have the privilege of receiving guidance from esteemed Deputy Chief Minister, Shri Devendra Ji, together chart the course of our shared vision. Thank you, and let the brainstorming begin. Look forward to active participation during the sessions and feedback for AID to help grow the region by generating employment and bring prosperity to the region. With this, I request Nitinji to unveil the video which has been created for this. And thanks to Amit, Arvind from TCS, Ashish from Shailesh from HCL to make this happen. And this is a beautiful thing which has come up. Thank you very much.
A vibrant city at the heart of India, bountiful with people, culture and possibility. A city of choice for 8 amongst the biggest names in the IT sector. Nagpur has tapped a tremendous potential in the last decade, emerging as a preferred growth location. With extensive connectivity by air, rail and road, Nagpur brings together fast communication and easy access in a heady mix of opportunity and growth. A priority city for the government's Digital India initiative, Nagpur has developed an impressive IT infrastructure that attracts global giants and startups alike.
we see a growth of a startup ecosystem, which is very essential for the innovation. At the same time, we see all large services companies are now having a significant hub in Nagpur, and more are coming.
High-end talent, companies who are doing bleeding edge, cutting edge work across the board. Chip design, data, AI, application software. I don't know of any type of IT work that is not happening through Nagpur.
To get the things done in Nagpur is quite easy as compared to any other city around.
The government machinery here is very, very agile.
With the decentralization of work in recent years, Deloitte and NASSCOM in their 2023 report have vouched for the holistic and comprehensive growth of Nagpur in terms of skilled talent pool, cost-effective operations and robust infrastructure.
A lot of infrastructure projects like the metro, the connectivity from Nagpur to Mumbai through Samruddhi Expressway.
Presence of a full-fledged SEZ because we are an export-oriented business.
Abundance of quality manpower which is available in the city.
Much lower attrition, better efficiencies.
And these are some of the enablers for our businesses.
At the forefront of development, the city has embraced the IT industry with state-of-the-art IT parks and tech centers.
These big companies, when they are established and their success stories are coming out, the other people are following. So we are seeing L&T ITL is coming in, Accenture is coming in, MicroStrategy is coming in. Then we have this Zoho, they are opening their offices.
With 4 out of 5 top IT companies flexing their substantial workforce from Nagpur and a strong presence of both product and services companies, the Nagpur IT hub creates a reverberating impact across the country.
Why we chose Nagpur is because we've never found a difference from a skill point of view, from an infrastructure, and hence we have grown from a 20 people to a 400 people today.
Nagpur also has had a good history of having organizations with a research mindset, whether it is organizations like NEERI or Cotton Research or even research in the whole geospace.
Nurturing talent and opportunity alike. The presence of some of the nation's best educational institutions like IIM, IIIT and VNIT brings forth a class of skilled and qualified professionals each year.
We can see so much of ease of doing business in terms of the relationship that we maintain with the academia, with the industry forums, with the local government authorities.
A unique advantage what Nagpur gives today to our associates is a very healthy work-life balance. Today, my associates get a unique opportunity to spend good quality time with their family.
So the social fabric of the city is very, very nice.
A confluence of the right elements conducive to the fast pace of the IT industry. The city offers a stable and high-quality urban lifestyle.
People that have gone out of Nagpur in the early stages now want to come back and create careers here.
My own co-founder, he is an expat who has migrated from US and settled in Nagpur.
With affordable housing, modern amenities and a vibrant social and cultural scene, Nagpur stands tall as an arena primed for investment.
IT has always been an enabler. If we leverage whatever that we have today and what IT has to offer on top of it, and we marry it together, it will create Nagpur at a different league than some of the major centers are today.
Every one person employed in IT generates almost like 4 jobs, additional jobs. So that's the employment generation potential. Projected, I believe this employment is going to go to almost 1 lakh people only in IT.
So it is going to grow and emerge as one of the primary location for innovation, for excellence across India in IT.
Surrounded by natural marvels and retreats, Nagpur offers a plethora of options in and around the city to unwind after high-effort work days.
Clients who are being serviced out of our Hyderabad operations and Nagpur operations, that everybody wants to come to Nagpur because Nagpur has become so prominent in terms of tiger tourism, tiger capital of the world, that they want to meet teams in Nagpur and at least have 2 or 3 day vacation in the jungles, actually witnessing what the whole world is talking about.
A steady city without extremes. Harsh climate is never a concern in Nagpur. Lush natural landscape and lower pollution rates make Nagpur a cleaner and greener alternative.
all international Indian IT companies are present in Mihan. Nagpur and Vidarbha has got the potential. Now every type of infrastructure is available, and that is the reason for development of Nagpur and Vidarbha. We are doing Advantage Vidarbha, that is Khasdar Udyog Mahotsav. I am really happy. We are inviting all of you to invest in Vidarbha and participate in this big program.
Over the past decade, we have seen Nagpur blossom into a prime IT hub, particularly within the Special Economic Zone Mihan SEZ. I am confident that this Khasdar Udyog Mahotsav will prove to be a milestone in attracting investments not only in Nagpur but in the entire Vidarbha region as well.
A dynamic ecosystem teeming with opportunities, where the best of tech thrives and limitless possibilities emerge as aspirations scale new heights. Join in with Nagpur's meteoric growth story.
An extremely impressive video showcasing the heartland of Vidarbha as the next IT hub of India.